Have you ever said something to someone and you realize that they understood it in a very different way than you thought they would? Have you ever just heard somebody say something as well and you understood it completely differently than they wanted you to? I think that happens so often. And for me, it's an exciting reality of language, and in our own native language, let alone other languages that we're learning. When we use words, they're so particular to us. The way I particularly understand words is based on my gender, my race, my ethnicity, where I grew up, where I was born, what languages I do speak, my experiences. So many things have formed my understanding of particular words and concepts. And I think that that's so fascinating to think about how I use particular words versus or in comparison and in addition to how you use different words. And I think it's also something super important in integrative language coaching. Something I really want to bring to the forefront is that we try as much as possible to explain where we're coming from in general, and to try to understand where that other person is coming from so we can have the most productive dialogue possible. Because very often we assume, ASS, you and me. We make an ass out of you and me. When we assume something is one way, when we assume that you understand the word the way I do, I often make an ass out of both you and me, because you may understand it very differently. And so if I take the time to actually explain the way I understand a particular word or a particular concept, it might transform the way you understand that idea or word or concept. Or you might have an alternative perspective that transforms the way I think about it. Or maybe both of us stay where we were, but we realize that there are other ways to think about that word. And I think that it's so important for us to take the time to be more critical and a little more creative and curious and about the language we use, because it is so powerful, and we often don't even realize how much importance there is to the words that we use and how much we feel about the words that we use or the words that we hear. And for me, there are some words that trigger me, and they might go totally unnoticed by someone else. And vice versa, another person could hear a word and get very sad, frustrated, mad, who knows. And to me, it's just a word I use. So I don't think I'm not politically correct. All of those discussions, we can have those discussions because words are so important. I think we have to use words, otherwise we don't have another way. It's difficult to explain our world and to have conversations with other people. But it doesn't mean that we have to always censor ourselves. No. But I think it does require us to ask and to question the words we do use, and to have conversations about why we do say things the way we do. And I think that can be something incredibly exciting to do in our own language, and especially even more so in other languages. Wow, what are the cultural implications of particular words, and how do we understand them differently based on where we were from, where we are from. So with that, I want to leave you with that idea for this week, and I hope that it resonates with you, that maybe it makes some sense, and if it doesn't, I'd love to know what you think, and if that applies to any experiences you've had, or your language learning, or your conversations in general. So I'd love to hear what you say. As always, it's such a pleasure talking with you, and I hope that you have a wonderful week, a wonderful day, much light, Much love. Until next week. Ciao, ciao.